So after spending a bunch of hours at my desk, I decided to go on a bike ride. Sami was gonna go with me, but she still had some more desk work, and we're going skiing tomorrow, so she decided to stay in and complete her stuff. Anyway, it was so nice at the park that I just ran back to get my camera so I could video it for you guys. So it's April 6th, no, excuse me, April 5th, and it is the first little stretch of days where the temperature has gotten above 70 in Fahrenheit, above 20 in Celsius, and everybody's out. Flowers are blooming, trees are greening up, some of them just with little buds, and some of them with a little more advanced with real leaves. And there is all sorts of activity. I love this park. It is well used, well worn with use, and very active. And to me, it feels different to me than any city park that I've been to in the US. And a lot of the things that are different to me in France are somewhat intangible or complicated to explain. Look at this. But for example, our park in San Diego, Balboa Park, beautiful park. Everything in the US just seems more commercial, you know? The park at times seems like more, in San Diego that is, and I think in other places in the US seems almost more like an amusement park or a privately run concession than a municipal park. And you know, Balboa Park, I would say, seems fancier, more constructed, more regulated, more organized. This park seems kind of more organic, more used, more people doing whatever they want, wherever they want, kind of a thing. For example, people drinking beer from bottles here. I don't think you're allowed to do that in San Diego Balboa Park. Yeah, and there are broken bottles that appear occasionally on the ground. I mean, some parts of this park are just, you know, really kind of beat down and worn. So, for example, this old oval left over from the 1968 Winter Olympics. I think it was the parade grounds, as well as maybe the ice skating, some of the ice skating events. And as you can see, it looks pretty ghetto with graffiti and so forth. They're doing a reconstruction there of the playground, which is really nice. And the prior playground wasn't bad as it was. But you know, people love this strip of concrete. People are out here on skateboards, on skates, on bikes, on these benches. Today I don't see the roller skaters that the kind of the disco skaters are out here a lot of days. That'll be a regular feature. Maybe it's on Sunday, I don't know. Yeah, but this park is just used and loved in a way that's different. I think in a way it wouldn't be tolerated in the US in this condition. Everybody be complaining. One of the differences, I was talking to a French friend, and my hypothesis is that the US is kind of more Germanic in culture, a lot more regulated, a lot more sweat the small stuff, sweat what other people do. Whereas I feel like France is a little bit more don't sweat the small stuff. And you can really see that in sort of regulations and policing. I've never heard of a person getting a ticket here for jaywalking. And, you know, people do things right in front of police in terms of bicycle, skateboards, dogs. Do them right in front of police that are technically maybe illegal. But cops don't mess with that. They don't. They don't worry about that kind of stuff. They're out there to stop real crime. Well, yeah, so it's one of the big things really I love about France. The other thing, I'm gonna write this stuff down and put it together in a more well thought out, organized presentation, but I also feel like there's a sense of community in France more than there is. Now, I'll probably get a lot of pushback from French people on this, but compared to the US, there's no sense of community. I mean, there is a sense of community within communities, but there's not really a sense of national community. So when everything's closed on Sunday, for example, that adds to that sense. Everybody doing family things on Sunday, that adds to that sense. Employees not working 24 hours, but you know, there being a real resistance by labor to working 24-hour shifts or working on Sundays and things of that nature, I think adds to a sense of oneness, of community. Even the sort of collective use of a park on Saturday or weekdays, so many people playing pétanque, it all kind of is glue. I feel like societal glue. I don't know, in my nearly my entire existence in the US, I was always haunted by this feeling of alienation, of commercialism, of constant renewal, replacing the old with new sterile substances and materials, of constant marketing and hype of everything. I think a lot of Americans have described it as a sort of soul robbing. And certainly those pressures are in Europe and France. But the balance is different. So this tower is being rebuilt. And I'm very mixed feelings about it. I think as a statement of how the Grenoble value their historic monuments, it's endearing and affirming. But this was a tower that was built for an exposition in the early 20th century, in the early ages of reinforced concrete. And it's all was made all of reinforced concrete. And as the rebar in the concrete aged and began to, I guess, moisture and oxidation somehow reached to the concrete, it started to expand and just explode the concrete from inside. It just seemed like, and it was personally kind of an ugly tower, kind of dark and ugly, but in my opinion. And they spent a few years trying to figure out how to save it. And I don't know what they figured out, because it seemed impossible to me. I mean, how do you rebuild something that's just exploding from the inside as a result of rusting rebar? You know, for those of you who don't know what rebar is the iron that's inside, the iron bars that are inside the concrete to create a framework for the concrete. And yeah, it was crazy that just big chunks of concrete were falling off of it. So I just don't know, when the cancer is all throughout the whole building, it's inside, I don't know how you do that without completely deconstructing it and rebuilding it. So and if any of you know what they did to reconstruct that, what the strategy was, let me know in the comments. I hope I'm adequately pointing the camera at it. There you go. And this is the biggest park in, well, I don't know actually if it's the biggest park. It's sort of the biggest park in the center of Grenoble. And but there's a lot of other parks that are equally busy. Some of them having different kind of themes in nature. All right. Oh, a little stroll through the park, through the Parc Paul Mistral in Grenoble. Okay, added bonus. I thought I'd take a spin through Hypercentre, or it's the basically the old town. The historic center of Grenoble. Which is, you know, mostly pedestrian, except for some residents and service vehicles. And this is right ahead of us, the Palais de Justice. Is that it? I've forgotten now. Yeah, and they have been remodeling it, rehabbing it to be half residential and half administrative. You know, it used to be the main governmental building in Grenoble throughout the centuries. Was the, I guess, the Parliament of the Dauphiné, or Dauphiné, I think. Anyway, some kind of bugaboo went down, whereas now the work has stopped and there's some recriminations going on. So I'm not sure what the controversy is, but something's going on that's not supposed to be going on, and the work is kind of halted. Also, you see how that statue is up there, and then on either side there's no statue? There's a lot of that in France, because during the French Revolution, particularly religious iconography was destroyed and never replaced. So you have all these little empty alcoves where there used to be statues. Now, while we're talking about parks, let's take a spin over to the Jardin de Ville, Garden of the City as they call it, which is also, well, all the parks are well used. And quite pretty. Well, I'll let you decide for yourself. Oh hell, can't get in there because there's some kind of show going on.
Et j'espère que tu t'en vas pas parler à des inconnus.
Look at peak.
Oui, mais les hauteurs que vous appelez des
J'avais vu la préparation. Ah bah voilà.
All right, you want to see what I'm talking about? Well used, especially on a first warm spring Saturday. Yeah. Wow. Look at that. It kind of surprises me because a lot of people bring their dogs out here, and I would say, no offense, French people, but you're not as some of you are not as particular about picking up after your dogs as perhaps some other countries. So what I'm saying is there's usually some nuggets in the grass that you have to be careful of. Some little brown nuggets, in case you didn't know what I was talking about. Not pretty. Church steeple in the background. That is the... I always get French and Spanish mixed up. Église or Église de Saint-André, I believe. One of the older churches, but not the oldest. I think it dates back to the 11th century. Of course, construction didn't begin and end in the 11th century. There was additional construction during this and reconstruction through the various centuries. So only elements would date all the way back to the 11th century.
Mets pas tes mains.
And as I'd mentioned, this is the Jardin de Vie. Hope I'm doing a half decent job of pronouncing that. Wow, a lot of stuff going on in here.
Allez, ouvert, si t'as un 20h.
Si je travaille pas, ouais, puis viens, on va manger.
Vas-y.
Et comme ça, on va manger.
Interesting. This is why you gotta get out of the house and look around every once in a while. Wow, little vignettes going on everywhere. So what I love in Grenoble is, if this was Barcelona, half these people would be tourists, wouldn't be locals. Here in Barcelona, oh, I'm gonna say 99% locals. As you can probably tell, there's people in the city getting out, stretching their legs on a Saturday. Let's go take a peek in there. And this is why we like living in Grenoble as opposed to a little country hamlet. Favorite ice cream place closed. That's a shock. I wonder why. They always seem to do well. I mean, not in the winter. It's like not even worth being open there in the winter. But in the summer, they did banging business. It's going to be hard to keep my feet on the pedals here.
Et du coup, bah,
Wow, this ice cream place is doing great. Think about ice cream in Grenoble. Definitely seasonal. And even kind of weekendal. And then of course in August, even though it's hot as hell, there's almost nobody in Grenoble. I know that sort of community, everybody kind of at work moves along on a similar tide thing that I was talking about earlier. August is the big vacation month, and a lot of people get out of town. A lot of stores close for that month as well. So you probably saw I did a little video a while back on a new shopping center, very American style, that opened up in the most American looking area of the metro region. And Nearpick, I think it's called. Anyway, a lot of concern about it stealing, closing down, and hurting the businesses here in Ypres Center. Might have done that a little bit. There have been some major stores over at Victor Hugo Plaza. That's a little up the road up here. I think it was at Zara or one of those that moved over to the shopping center. I forgot what's the other thing that's like Zara. Might have been them, but anyway, a couple stores moved, so there's empty storefronts over by Victor Hugo Plaza, maybe elsewhere in here, but all in all, it looks quite healthy. People just like coming down here. So I'm probably going on past a half an hour at this point in video, and I don't think you guys really want to see that much of this. But I do tend to ramble on, both in speech and filming. See the mountains in the background, still quite a bit of snow up there. We're going skiing tomorrow. Chamrus closing day, April 6th. It's a mid-altitude resort. Some of the bigger resorts will stay open into early May. And of course, climate change has done a major number on snow, on glaciers, on skiing. So the seasons tend to have more difficulty staying open late. Trying to weave my way through here. So we get on a trajectory back home. We used to live right down in here. We didn't go exactly in front of where I used to live today, but it was close. And we were kind of on this little square that had several Anglophone type pubs. There was a place called Shakespeare's Pub. Another thing called, I think it was O'Callahan or something like that. And then a third one, Bruges or something, which was, I think, actually Belgian or something. But anyway, I also have beer focus, pub focus. And it can get quite noisy at night. And our dog Spiky, who hates the city. He just hates the city. He's a nervous wreck out here in the kind of urban jungle, and he just couldn't handle it over there. So now we live in a tower in a park, so to speak. Oh, they're open. Oh, I think I've had too much coffee already for the day. Can't really enjoy sweets without coffee. All right, that's it. That's all she wrote. Oh, what the heck. I thought I'd squeeze in one more park. This is probably the city's most inactive park. It's right here at the prefecture. Place Verdun, I believe it's called. Since we're doing this one, let's go over to the, I forgot what this other one park's called. It's right across from the big park. It's attached to a museum, and the focus is really on kids. So you can see this is a entrance here is a museum. It's integrated with the museum. The Museum of Natural History. Quite beautiful in here. I got off my bike because you know, I forgot, I couldn't recall whether they allow bikes in here or not, but I see quite a few bikes. So maybe just not allowed to ride them in here. A lot of families come in here. Not allowed to bring dogs in here, I believe. Beautiful flowers. France does a lot of planting and curating of these tulip type flowers that have a very short bloom period, but while they are blooming, they are fantastic, spectacular. How beautiful is this? Just laying out on the grass. And it is, what time is it? Look at that, 6:09. 6:09, April 5. Interesting. Oh, I don't think I'll take you through the whole park. Just wanted you to get a quick glance at it, especially since I keep adding on to this video. This is the very center of the park right here. As you can see, it's very family oriented.
Harun, descends de là-bas, s'il te plaît.
Oh, you see the kids way out there, they're smacking the tennis ball against the wall. That's cool. There you go. Might have to do a blur face on that. And back to where we started. There's the little park right in front of our building, which was why we opted for this location, basically for the dogs' benefit rather than being an epicenter. But we're relatively close by, about 3 minutes by bicycle.